In this video, we're going to take you through how to perform a diaphragm self-release. So the diaphragm is the major breathing muscle, and it sits inside your rib cage. Think of it as a parachute. So it's dome shaped, and it comes from the front around to the mid and low back. Now, with a lot of clients I see, the diaphragm will become tight, and that's usually due to trauma of some sort. So there's two main causes. One is an impact to the rib cage, chest area, a rugby tackle, a punch, a fall from height, and the diaphragm goes into a spasm. The other cause, which is the main cause I find with people, is when people go through a period of chronic stress, they tend to hold themselves a bit more tighter, and it doesn't allow the diaphragm to function properly. And then they start to breathe from their chest and quite shallow. Now that can cause a host of problems that we won't actually go into on this video, but we want to release the diaphragm and allow it to function fully. So like I said, diaphragm sits inside the rib cage as like a dome or a parachute, and as you breathe in, belly comes out, diaphragm depresses or flattens, and it draws the air into your lungs. So we want to allow that to function as best as we can. So the way we do this is to perform the diaphragm release. Now, two important things here. Don't go in the central sort of 2-inch area in between the two sets of ribs where your xiphoid process is. And you want to keep up to the sort of middle area. Don't go down to the lower ribs because they're floating ribs and you can't really get any pressure on those on that area. And the other thing is to remain breathing steadily throughout the exercise. And by that I mean the temptation is, because it can be quite uncomfortable or you're focusing on what you're trying to do, you tend to hold your breath, and that's exactly the one thing we don't want to do. So you don't go in the central area. Where the ribs angle downwards, that's where you want to put your fingers. Now, you're not going into the abdominals. You're finding the edge or the border of the ribs, and you're going to roll your fingers up and under so that your fingertips are almost massaging the ribs on the inside. Now, we're not looking to create as much pain or go in as deep as possible. You might find you can only put your fingers on the edge initially, but we'll go in and we'll apply as much pressure as you feel comfortable with. Now, you can do this sitting down or lying down. Now, lying down is more beneficial because we are more relaxed, and we'll take you through that now. So lying down in this position, knees bent, that allows the abdominal area to be a little bit more relaxed. And then you can either use one hand on each side or two hands on one side, whichever is more easier for you. And like I say, you're rolling the fingertips underneath and up onto the ribs, and you're massaging or working where you feel the ribs. Now, you want to keep breathing throughout. Now, when you breathe in, it will push your fingers out. You're not going to stop that, but the intention is to try and stop it. And what happens then is as the ribs, the diaphragm comes down, it touches onto your fingers and it stimulates the diaphragm. Now, if you're massaging or stretching another muscle of the body, you can work it all. Because of the nature of where the diaphragm is, you can't get to it. So as long as you can touch one part of the muscle, you will stimulate it. So we're just trying to get underneath, and say it might be too painful to move your fingers around. Just find the spot, breathe in, it'll push your fingers out, and as you breathe out again, try and get in a bit more. So the idea is to work this for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute or a minute and a half. Don't go for so long or too hard that it creates pain and bruising, which means then you may not be able to do this for a few days. We want to be doing this 2 or 3 times a day, and you may have to do this for 1 or 2 weeks, depending on what we find is going on, but more consistency. Now, we perform the diaphragm release, and then we'll take you through some breathing mechanics, but we'll do that in another video. So that's diaphragm self-release.